Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katrina and this is I want to do this video where I talk about the neighborhoods of Booktube, and it came to mind was that I was going down memory lane and I was thinking about Sesame Street, and I'm old, so it's old Sesame Street, and you know that song that
Who are the people in your neighborhood? In your neighborhood? In your neighborhood?
Thought about that in regards to Booktube. Like, we have neighborhoods, right? And so I think like Pavio over at Attention would be in the university, and there will be the post office, the people who do lots of unboxings and things like that. The coffee shop area would be the cozy book section. The comic book shop is where all the manga. My daughter hates when I say manga, so I say it on purpose now, and now it's become, anyway, a spooky house where all the kids think it's haunted. That is where all the like thriller readers are, the ones that only read scary books. The librarians would be Ashley. Elementary school would be some of the people who, I would say Shelley Swearingen. She's doing a project where she's reading 101 children's books. And while I have Ashley at Bookish Realm, she would be our librarian. She is also pushing for picture books getting more love on Booktube. Literary readers, and they're up there at the college with Pavio. And we have the therapist office, and I think that would be the locked booktician. She's an actual therapist anyway. We have the church, because I found some Christian booktubers. Mall are the people who do lots of hauls. I would say that the bookstore would be AuthorTube. In my search for more corners of our Booktube neighborhood and just looking for different types of YouTubers, I came across a young man named, or his channel's name is Tornado Creator, and this is the name of the video: The Extreme Political Leanings of Booktube and the Worrying Lack of Conservative Booktubers. He was looking to make a beginner's guide to conservative Booktube and found that there were no channels except for one lady by the name of Taylor Ramos, I believe. And he said there were a few people who you could kind of guess that maybe they were a little conservative or libertarian based on just a few things that would slip through, but he felt that a lot of people are kind of silenced if they want to keep their channel because of the extreme left of Booktube. He said that the conservative view is the mainstream view, so he doesn't understand why the left and the extreme left political views are so overrepresented in Booktube. He says that young readers and YA readers are just frivolous. Then he says that anybody else who he thought might have been conservative were just old literary readers with barely any light and no personality, and they still were kind of classical liberal or whatever. And then he said then he went down that weird thing where he just lambasted Steve Donahue and spent a lot of time talking about him. And first of all, I was confused as to how do you know people's real point of view. And he was talking about people who were pro LGBTQIA or Black Lives Matter, or he was disgusted when he talked about the multiple people that he saw specifically dedicate videos to highlighting Black authors or whatever during George of the worldwide outpouring of grief and solidarity over how gross that was. he was so upset about that. And it's like, that's a conservative point of view? Like, that just seems like a human point of view. There are conservative lesbians and gay people and the like, conservative black people. I don't see people talk about politics on here very often. So there was a conversation back and forth between Steve Donahue and him. I'm not going to read all of that. But Steve Donahue says, and for that matter, wouldn't the absence of conservative Booktube channel be a reflection on conservatives rather than Booktube? I mean, anybody is free to start a channel, right? So are you saying they don't do it because they don't feel welcome? Tornado Creator says, I'm looking ideally for booktubers that cover fiction, mainly fantasy, sci-fi, and horror, though I'm open to other genres too, but without the far left undercurrent. It is not present in every video, but many of the booktubers that cover those genres are openly and explicitly left-wing. They're vocally in support of Antifa. They often make pro-feminist statements and judgments. They see the inclusion of identity politics as a good thing. They describe plot elements as problematic, and worst of them outright ruin the books under the guise of trigger warnings. I am just sick of that perspective being the only perspective I see. Maybe even with the literal hundreds of booktube channels I follow, I simply haven't found the right channels. It's possible there are potentially thousands of channels out there, but yes, I do feel that when you search for bookish content, the channels most prominent are extremely vocally progressive left, and that turns conservatives away. People who would make content don't because they don't feel welcome, or they start and get sent abuse. As for why I don't feel welcome, it's the reception I've had. I've been banned from every major booktube chat room I've joined, to the point of simply starting my own Discord out of frustration, all because people don't like that I don't subscribe to their political ideas. I get regular hate messages despite the small size of my channel, but honestly, just on a fundamental level, as a white man, I don't feel welcome in a community that constantly peppers feminist, social justice, critical race theory, and Marxist rhetoric into their videos or their comment sections. They clearly hate me for having white privilege and being part of the patriarchy, and they take entirely reasonable stances I hold and claim that I am a bigot, a racist, a transphobe, and I have been called a white supremacist. All things that are patently absurd. Basically, there's a huge section of Booktube that openly hates white men, despite some of them being white men themselves. And I know I'm not alone when I say I feel personally attacked by the things they say and the messages they spread. Also, often it's not the booktuber themselves, but the audience. Murphy Napier is a decent person who's never said a bad word about me, but going on her paywall Discord server, I was met with hateful comments and constant abuse until I left of my own accord. I do not see Booktube as political. I see us as having different views. So what is your idea? I mean, what do you think about Tornado Creator's idea that Booktube is extremely left-leaning and that there's no place for a white conservative male as himself? And is Booktube a place for politics? Do we push a liberal agenda here on Booktube? And do you think that this is where he should be looking for what he's looking for? Do you think he's looking for the wrong thing? I have always seen Booktube as an extremely welcoming place. So I'm not saying he shouldn't be here. I'm saying he's looking in the wrong part of YouTube for what he's looking for. I know there are political commentators who also talk about books, so much so that one of the political commentators that I watch has a whole now separate channel that she calls Smart Brown Girls, and that's a whole book club now that has become this big thing because on top of her funny, she had pop snark, she would talk about black TV shows, she would talk about what's going on Black Twitter and things like that. The books she read, that just became that whole thing got bigger and bigger, and so she had to make another channel for it. There's other people doing that, and I guarantee there's conservative people doing that. So maybe that's what he needs to look for, rather than Booktube, which is doing TBRs and tags and just trying to have fun. And let's use this as our offering to the YouTube gods. Let me know. I had lots of questions that I threw out there. Let me know down in the comment box. And I will also put his video, Tornado Creator's video, down in the description area. Be easy on yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.